Yeah, I want to talk about this. Hello, I'm Zalma, and welcome to another episode. Today's episode, Stereotypes. If you find yourself enjoying today's episode, don't forget to leave a like, comment, let me know your thoughts. Feel free to share, and as always, let's get into this here. Stereotypes. There's a reason. There's a reason for stereotypes. How? Where did that stego come from? Weird. Oh well, whatever. Um, that threw me off. But stereotypes. There's a reason for stereotypes, but you don't have to live up to them. The big thing with stereotypes is that there's a difference between an absolute rule and a general rule. Stereotypes absolutely live. People live up to the stereotypes. You don't have to, and that's the thing. Like if you're representative of a stereotype and you're all defensive about the stereotypes because it's a negative stereotype, change the culture that produces that stereotype. But let's not act like stereotypes aren't legitimate. Stereotypes do exist, and they exist for a reason, because people actually demonstrate that over and this a certain thing over and over and over. You know what I mean? But there's a difference between an absolute rule and a general rule. So where I say stereotypes are true, they are, but that doesn't mean that you get to use it as an absolute rule. Here in Canada, well, especially here in Alberta, um, there is a stereotype about Native people. Well, I want to be more specific, and I'm using this terminology for a reason. Indians tend to be thieves. And I'm using that because even amongst Native people, they don't view these people that kind of do this kind of behavior in the same light as themselves. And I actually agree with that. There's a whole, and that's where I say, I've said before, it's not about skin color, it's about culture, right? So you have Native and you have Indians, and here in Alberta and Canada, and going by the vernacular here, being honest about the vernacular here, and they have two different cultures. Indian is your more negative culture. It's the generational abuse. It's the alcoholism, the drug abuse, the sexual abuse, generational abuse. Um, and these ones they're thieves. I ain't gonna beat around the bush about it. They are, but like I say, that's as a general rule, not as an absolute. Um, two thirds of the Indians that I have called friends have stolen directly from me. So it's hard for and like I say, even when you go and talk to Native people and even if you can get into an honest conversation with them, which me as a white guy, there has to be a whole introduction, and I'm not the guy who gets to raise it up. But I have definitely been present when it's raised up that Indians are this, they're thieves. Um, but I mean, but like I say, not all of them are. Some come from that culture, but they rise above it, which is why we're all individuals. So the stereotypes as general rules, when you're looking at things from more of a statistical viewpoint, right? You're taking in a large swath and going, oh, well, a significant portion of these people do A. Though that, as a general rule, as looking at, that's true. It's observable. It's true, and you can actually use it to mitigate. But you also shouldn't use it as an absolute rule. You know, don't treat a person like a thief if they've never stolen from you. Now, hey, if they come from a culture that's known for thievery, don't leave your purse strings open. Right? Like, you can be cautious, and there's reason to be cautious. And if everyone was honest about it, there is legitimate reason for caution. But that doesn't mean, like I say, you don't lock a person up when they haven't stolen anything from you, because that's treating it as an absolute, right? There's that difference. And to yesterday's video, that's kind of the point I kept tripping over, because I knew I was wanting to go into it for this episode, that there's that difference between an absolute rule and a general rule. Stereotypes are true and absolutely can be used as a general rule to mitigate against possible harm in certain situations, or possible harm, and harm is very wide. I'm using that in a very broad sense. Embarrassment is harm, okay? Is it the same harm as breaking a leg? No, obviously, but it still is harm. But like I say, you don't get to use it as an absolute. And today we use it as an absolute against white people. It's horrible. I don't like it. Well, although, obviously I'm a white guy. And I'm a white guy who come from poverty, who got to see certain realities of the world. That's why I don't fall for this narrative that everything's racial. It's no. It's not about race. It's about the rich and powerful hate the poor, and they use whatever they have and their means and their disposable to keep the red ants fighting the black ants while they run away with the picnic. That's what it is. But yeah. What do you think? Do you agree? Are stereotypes true? Do stereotypes exist for a reason? Is there a difference between an absolute rule and a general rule? Am I just an evil white race? Am I just living up to my own racial stereotype of being an evil white racist? I try not to, but hey, stereotypes are true, man. If you don't like the stereotype, stop proving it true. But yeah, that'll be about it for this week's episode, or today's episode. So leave a like if you found yourself enjoying. Comment, let me know your thoughts. Feel free to share, subscribe for more content. And until tomorrow, later.